Following this inspiring talk, we have 4 very short presentations, 5-minute presentations, or rather brief summaries of project highlights in the Green Cluster. And I'd like to invite Dr. David Chelazzi as the first speaker. He received his master's degree in chemistry from the University of Florence in Italy in 2003. And his PhD degree in Science for Cultural Heritage and Conservation in 2007. He's associate professor in physical chemistry at the University of Florence, and his main research involves advanced and nanomaterials for art conservation and industry. He's involved in European and national projects on these topics. We all know David really well, and is an author and co-author of more than 120 papers in our field. Over to you, David.
Thank you very much, Mattia, for your kind introduction. Hello again. I have a challenging task here, which is not only to resume what we did in GreenArt, but also to talk about the work of our colleagues in other projects. And I really hope I will do them good justice as they deserve. Please correct me just in case. So, I'll try and give you highlights. And for those of you that were with us in the morning, of course it will be a repetition, but maybe some more refocusing on some crucial aspects for those of you who came this afternoon. I hope I will be able to give you a clear idea in the amount of time we have to respect. I will have to start from somewhere, and I will start from GreenArt, but just because I have to start from somewhere. So again, we have concluded GreenArt, okay? We started in October 2022. We ended just last September. Partnership, very composite and diverse, 30 partners and us at the Center for Nanoscience in Florence, CSGI, coordinating. A huge amount of professionals. And what I want to say about the partnership is that it joined of course, research centers, many technical aspects, not just conservation science. We try to be multidisciplinary with the focus of preserving art. Small and medium enterprises in art conservation, museums and conservation professionals, but also large industries. One example I'm citing here is the Shiseido for cosmetics, because that is a signal of the interest we can spark in industry by developing materials and methodologies for cultural heritage conservation. And that is also a way to move the system and give it momentum and you know, strengthen sustainable conservation. So in GreenArt, we focused on developing and assessing materials for remedial and preventive conservation of works of art. I will try and give you some practical examples. The focus we had was to start from environmentally friendly and low impact materials like materials from renewable natural sources, recycled waste, and to build new materials for art conservation on those building blocks. We wanted to make these new materials, new standards in conservation science, but also models of cutting-edge technologies that could interest the industries, even beyond cultural heritage. How do we do that? We used a framework, a specific quantitative framework, which is Safe and Sustainable by Design framework, SSBD. Now, this framework doesn't just serve cultural heritage conservation, it can serve the development of sustainable materials in all industries. And as you see, it has a series of steps. Now, this framework does not want to negate all the recommendations made by many professionals over the past in cultural heritage conservation. It wants to include such recommendations and integrate them in a quantitative system. Because if you move through the different steps, you will see it starts from hazard assessment, And then it will have human health and safety aspects, environmental aspects, also including the final application of the materials to works of art, environmental sustainability assessment, and social and economic sustainability. This goes from cradle to grave for the different materials. And I can give you a practical example. For instance, when we talk about gels for cleaning art, that I will mention, it starts by selecting building blocks like polymers that are not hazardous to build the gels, or green solvents and surfactants to upload in the gels. Then you have all the assessment on the production, how you start from the building blocks and build the gels. The manufacturing processes in the lab and a larger scale must be sustainable in terms of safety, energy, and all. Then, of course, you have aspects in the application. How do you apply? Is it safe for the restorer to apply the gel? Is it time effective? Is it functional? These are all relevant aspects. And of course, how will he or she waste the material after the usage? But then we have the environmental sustainability, and I want to take advantage of a question that was made in the morning about packaging of those gels. Of course, this was also evaluated in the SSBD. Will be the packaging balanced with all the aspects be acceptable or not? And the answer is yes for the systems that made it up to technology readiness level 9 through the project. That was evaluated. And finally, you have the social and economic sustainability aspects, which includes, of course, all the gains that we could get on a social level from having the final material work of art in its materiality restored and maintained for the social community to enjoy and get advantage from. Respecting this framework doesn't mean you will be 100% green or sustainable, because that is a limit to tend to. But to be fully 100% sustainable will be physically impossible. So, as scientists would say, this would be direct violation to the second law of thermodynamics. So we can tend to it, and this is what we did and we'll do with the SSBD, but we are aware that we cannot be 100%. But in the end, we can be better than what was there before, which is included as a benchmark in the SSBD. Now that I hope I have clarified this aspect, let's go to what we produced following this method. Complex fluids or nanostructured fluids to remove varnishes on soil, gels to upload such fluids and apply them in a controlled way to treat sensitive works of art. One example, acrylic or modern oil paintings. They're very solvent sensitive or water sensitive. They need to be treated with some gel that can confine the fluids. But there were also packages working with consolidants, new replacement and supports for works of art, new packaging. And if we go back to the example of gels, the framework told us that not only we can be balanced and sustainable by, for instance, considering the waste and recycling of the packaging for the gels, okay, we can also project biodegradable or bio-based packaging materials. And finally, I think this is very relevant for today, in the framework collects the feedback from you restorers. Because one example and one requirement that we get from restorers in the very design of the gels was how many times can we reuse a gel? And we took that recommendation and we used it to make gels that can be reused up to 5, 10, or 50 times. So for one packaging you get 50 uses. That's a way to also to improve sustainability. Some of these classes of materials reached the market level, technology readiness level 9. Others did not, because they were starting from, say, less background or more experimental trials. But we could reach proof of concepts and demonstration in real environments. That is a promise for further research to carry on. Examples from the cleaning. Again, the gels, this is what we built upon. Some gels that were already performance with some greening metrics assessed on masterpieces like Pollock or Picasso, and then were implemented from green to greener as much as possible. and then used in GreenArt, for instance, to restore these beautiful Bridget Riley's masterpieces at Tate. And then some of the best solution that could reach final TRL9 achieved the solar impulse efficient solution label that is also a very technical sustainability assessment in comparison with available commercial benchmarks for cleaning. And now this is making possible to have a startup coming in the spring with young guys full of, energy to inject in the system and build and disseminate and provide to the community new products. Of course, this was supported with intense dissemination and communication at all levels, the citizen, the professionals, and also the industry. Like we had an expo in Osaka in 2025, where also Shiseido participated, and that was a very nice occasion to show that they have interest in what we do. And this is reversing a trend, like I said this morning, because over decades, many times, heritage preservation borrowed from cosmetics, borrowed from food. But we, all of us in the cluster, have shown that we can reverse the trend. We can develop technologies, can be materials, can be diagnostics, that is very interesting also to other sectors. We can gain their interest, and if we gain their involvement, we can really move sustainability on. Now let me pass to Go Green. So, Go Green also had large partnership. This was a common feature to our projects. Each and every one of us tried to involve all the different areas, no? So even here we have academia, research institutes, conservation education, cultural heritage agencies, museum, and everybody cooperated into the objectives. And now I will try and give you here a glance to the main objectives. You see, define parameters to define green conservation and influence the creation of sector-wide standards, okay, which of course communicating the green requirements and quantitative framework is demanding and needs to be done also in this way. Develop preventing conservation practices, introduce green innovative materials and methods inspired by historical recipes. This is also very nice. The past can teach us, if we understand how past materials, even archaeological materials, can teach us lots of stuff, we can learn from that and build with new awareness, technological awareness, to do new materials. Creating digital web app, of course, that helps a lot the conservation community. This is an effort that never stops, okay, because it's difficult to gather all the different diversity in art preservation and condense in a web app with indications. Empower practitioners by creating a sector-wide paradigm shift, making green thinking the daily standard, of course, in conservation. And here are also examples of materials that were developed in Go Green. So non-woven tissues based on green chemistry for cleaning art, of course. And this is a nice technology which can be combined with gels, by the way, and the results are absolutely promising. And this was also developed together with a company which is called Sati, partner in Go Green, which is upscaling the product. Again, so moving on to the market and the industry. And then also another material based on the knowledge, again from historical and archaeological glass. It's a green synthesis for the consolidation of glass that was developed in Go Green, a patented method, and also launched as a spin-off company, which is called Bling, correct? Here we have it. This technology is particularly interesting also for the industry because it could be a nice method for colored glass as an alternative to save energy and use lower temperature, and of course save waste materials. And then of course there were lots of tools developed in Go Green to assist the conservation professional. One is again the app that we said. And so let me move a little bit. with the definition of green conservation, which is again an effort to try and deliver practicality or practical message to conservators, sided with the recommendations that we have also supported before. Some figures about the Go Green, lots of stuff. So many papers and dissemination events and all. I know I'm late and I'm moving on to Moxie. So Moxie also will end next year, like Go Green, they both have 1 year left. And this was very interesting to use atomic oxygen to clean as a non-contact technology, which is completely complementary to the wet chemistry that I have been showing in the two previous projects. So this is nice. It starts from space technology and re-elaborates. And one very key result here is that this technology doesn't put plasma directly in contact with the work of art, okay, but you have atomic oxygen in contact. So it's a safer and more gentle approach to the works of art substrate. It can be very effective on some substrates, and of course doesn't involve solvents or wet chemistries. It can be complementary, so a combination would be very nice to explore. You can see here some movies, and these histograms are showing how it can be more gentle, more effective on removal of soot, for instance, but in general of carbonaceous materials. At the same time, can be more gentle to some substrate like plastics and other type of polymers you can have as art materials with respect to the plasma traditional technology. Applications in the project involve feathers, tissues, and painted layers, where there's lots of potential to explore. And this would be the final slide with the movie. Mattia, I apologize because maybe I was a little bit longer. I really tried my best, and I hope I did you all good justice in your projects and to our cluster. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David. I know it's impossible to summarize everything in 15 minutes, and I was wondering what heroic effort this was going to take. Well done, well done.